Yeah, I'm gonna record this and we're gonna post this on YouTube. Somebody mentioned like the old freelancer looking cooler than the new freelancer, like the current one, and I was like, oh, let's go look back at the old commercial, and I was like, it still looks relatively the same. What are you talking about? Uh, I guess like the angle up with the, I don't even know if that's a thing with the freelancer. I think it goes straight now, but and we don't go in at the bottom here, right? But the commercial was like obviously very funny where it kills. Here, I'll just mute it for a second. Where like he just like one shots two cutlasses in 2 seconds, which is just goofy, right? uh and just like fires missiles without looking and just annihilates a guy, right? But just hilarious. But I feel like this is like a perfect moment to just remind CIG where they came from. And I know what the plan for the game was in, what was this, probably around 2013, 2014. The plan for the game around this time was very, very, very different. But at the same time, this commercial, at least to me, is so iconic because as a player who was interested in this type of gameplay in all MMOs that I've played, this one really resonated to me, right? So he goes through he picked up cargo, the content of the cargo haul, right? So they show it. He picked up cargo. He's got great engines. All right, we're doing the RP stuff with the company, and he goes through a dangerous area. Right, this is a good haul, but you might get attacked. He fends them off, and then he's in relative safety now that he's back at ArcCorp. Right? And look at ArcCorp. It looks incredible. There's this cool looking space station, so on and so forth. Right? Everything's great. We land, and here's the big kicker. Here's the thing that CIG, I think, seemed to have forgotten. I know a lot of people like doing this. I know a lot of people like unloading their own cargo. But do you see this guy just sipping a drink, watching these NPCs unload his cargo after a job well done? I feel like CIG just forgot that this is where they started. This is what got us excited for ships like this and gameplay like this. Right? This is what a lot of us actually want. Yeah, this is the game I bought too. So, what happened? What happened here? I had to stop. Like, I saw this and I just paused. And I was like, this should be me. This guy should be me. And instead, I'm just tractor beaming box after box for an hour and a half and clang, 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 all over the place. We're the NPCs now. Yeah, now we're the NPCs. So I gotta ask, man, what happened? Go back to your roots. I know this is a goal for them in the future, but the morphed in a comparison video between this and now a few months ago. That's hilarious. I had no idea he did that. I just at the moment watching the guy sip his coffee, I was just like, wow, we got so far away from this. And I just remember how impactful this individual video was on me. It was so meaningful to me. I remember even buying a Freelancer Max because they told us it was the largest cargo hold of a ship that can fit into a small jump point. Remember that? Those still might be a thing with transient jump points, by the way, but it seemed like the game design was was like properly simple at the time. And then the money started rolling in, and Chris just went crazy, I think, like literally insane with some of these ideas. I always want the option to remove our own boxes. But if they made the actual effort, not that it's like a thing that they could possibly do now, but I don't know, like priorities in the company. Like, I think if you look at any aspect of the game, you can easily say that this thing should be the number one priority. But then if you look at a different aspect of the game that is completely screwed and broken and all that stuff, that's the morph video, okay. Then you, like, what do you, there's going to be a huge problem with that too. FPS has huge problems. Cargo hauling has huge problems. We were just talking earlier about like medical gameplay being non-existent. Mining has problems. You know, everything does. So that's why their priorities are so difficult to figure out, is because everything is a priority and you can't do everything all at once. But I really, really, really do hope that we see a the ability to manually or auto unload and load both mission content, mining, everything. So, yeah. They literally don't have the bandwidth to do what they want. That is a self-inflicted wound, though. They have overcomplicated everything into this game to the point where it's impossible to finish the game. That's absolutely what they did. No matter if Squadron 42 is done or not, I don't think if they had 4,000 people working at the company, they would be able to get done what they want to get done. I think they've overcomplicated everything, that like server performance, the speed of light, all that stuff is just going to get in the way. It's just like it'll just never happen. Just wish there wasn't so much frictions to do things. Exactly. And I think the really important part is this is supposed to be kind of the equalizing factor in cargo hauling, whether this is real players or NPCs. The dangers of cargo hauling should be the experience of cargo hauling, whether it's it could be a container that might explode. It could be a lot of those cool containers that we had in remember Xenothreat, stuff like that could be a part of it. Doesn't always have to be ship combat stuff. But what happens during the haul is the fun part. CIG seems to focus way too much on what happens before and after. Very weird. That's not cargo hauling. That's literally being one of these like NPC ants. Who thought that they were going to be this guy? Right? Who here thought that they were going to end up being these guys? Now we're these guys, not this guy. We're supposed to be this guy. What happened? Where did they get lost in all this? You know what I mean? It's very weird. They got lost in all of this. I just don't know how it happened. And how we got here. And why. You know, I think like everybody just trusted them with their ideas that they would be good. Except for me, I feel like I was always very adamant and vocal about some ideas that I thought were stupid, and I always got shit for them. And I think that's changed a lot over the recent years. I actually thought that, this was not one of them, by the way. I actually thought that moving the boxes would be decent. A decently fun experience. I just didn't think it would play out the way that it has. Where it's very tedious. It's not a smooth experience. I don't know if they can make the experience smooth enough for me to enjoy it. I know I talked with Cutlet a few weeks back about, you know, making some changes, allowing the boxes to have a little bit more no clip to them than they currently do, things like that. But I think we just need a reminder to the entire community that we are now these guys when we should be this guy. How do we turn the game to become more this guy, right? That you're flying your ship out in the stars, and this is the content that you're playing, not, this. I don't know. Like, I just want to be that. So, very, very weird. Just hired a player to unload your ship. I mean, maybe, but it just, you need to have the option, and it should be NPCs. I think we all know. I don't care if it takes a lot of time. I don't care if it costs a little bit of money. But, like, even at our own bases, I feel like that there should be NPCs that actually work at the bases that you own and stuff like that are doing these kind of things, right? And that allows you to be more in the world than, back and forth with boxes. I think Star Citizen is really great with things like this, right? I think we should see more views of this and less views of, this. Because this is the only view you have when you're a cargo hauler. And, yeah. I don't know. That's just how I feel. I am sure I will get some friction for this, because I know a lot of you do, like, not a lot of you, but I know some of you do like to move boxes, but I'm not saying to take away that option. But I think a majority of people who have cargo hauled in or a similar type of experience in other MMOs, this is not it. This is not what they fell in love with about that, right? It was about the danger of it, or it was generally about, like, bringing one thing from one place, bringing it to another, and feeling that profit. And, like, at least in a game like EVE Online, that it's like you're literally moving meaningful stuff for people and things like that, and yeah, it just really matters. So, like, I see, like, distro centers mentioned in the chat here. The thing about that is not every place is a distro center, and I think that CIG is actively trying to make changes, but I think that the real solution is every place has to have a hangar. Like, outside hauling is just not going to be a thing at outposts and stuff like that, because people will still bring a C2 and just drop box after box after box. And, like, limiting the cargo sizes, like, they're making these attempts so that when you are manually loading and unloading, it's only small amounts. But I don't think that they've ever made it, like, an impactful, fun feeling to move those small amounts just yet. I know they're actively trying, right? Even in Arcade, you load up a boat, you have to sail through shifty seas with PvE and PvP. So many risks to do cross-continent. Exactly, like, stuff like that. I know lots of games that do stuff like that, and it's yeah. So, I don't know. It was just a thing that popped in my head. This is more of, like, what do you guys, like, just asking you guys what you think. But, like, this right here is the feeling that I want to have. Right? That just, like, all right, I landed, we're safe, mission accomplished, on to the next job, right? But you're not on to the next job because you're moving boxes for the next 20 minutes. Just kind of weird. So I don't know if I resonate with any of you or the complete opposite. Just putting it out there to see what you guys think. My opinions are my own. If you don't agree, I don't hate you for it. But I just remember what I backed for. I remember what I enjoy about other games, and the option being there is good, but the option not being there at all is bad. And I think that's where I stand on it.